I'm John Vogel with Vogel Heating and Cooling. Today we're going to take a look at and talk about the HVAC systems in your residence. Also, one of my best techs, Paul, is going to come along for this journey and show us how to operate our controllers, and again talk a little bit about your systems and how they operate.
Hi, I'm Paul. I'm one of the service techs at Vogel Heating and Cooling. You've probably seen me around your location more than once. Today I'd like to take a minute and show you a few things about your wall controller. We have the on-off button, the mode button, the fan button, and the up and down. Let's start with the on-off. When we see the green indicator light, that lets us know that our controller is powered and the system is ready to operate. Pressing the mode button will give us one of 4 selections. The snowflake lets us know that it's in the cooling mode. The sun lets us know it's in the heating mode. The A, surrounded by the 4 arrows, lets us know it's in the automatic mode. And the raindrops in the square lets us know it is in a dry mode. This is only used during the cooling season. Now let's look at our fan. We have 6 options. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and auto. We recommend the auto mode. The auto mode allows the fan to cycle up and down as needed per the load. If you leave it in 1 through 5, it will stay at that setting regardless. It does make the system less efficient. If we choose to, we can turn the unit off at the end of the day. Not recommended. Now, let's set your controller to the cooling mode. Let's check that it is on. We know that it is because the green LED. Let's check our mode, in this case, auto. So let's press the mode button once, twice, until we see a snowflake. That lets us know that we're in the cooling mode. Now let's adjust our temperature. Currently 72. Let's put it to 74. Now you're in the cooling mode at 74 degrees. Now, let's set your controller to the heating mode. First, we check the green LED to make sure the unit is on. Next, we check what mode we're currently in. We can tell that it's in the auto because of the A with the arrows. Next, let's press our mode button once, twice, 3 times until we see the sun. Currently, we're set at 75 degrees. We'll adjust our temperature down to 72. Currently, you're in the heating mode at 72 degrees. So now let's take a look at the auto mode. First, we'll want to make sure that the controller is on. We can tell that it is because of the green LED. Next, we'll check the mode. We know that it's in cooling because of the snowflake. Now let's press our mode button once, twice, until we see the A surrounded by the arrow. That lets us know that we are in the auto mode. Let's look at our temperature and adjust it. In this case, 74 degrees. Now we are in the auto mode at 74. Your AC system will choose between heating and cooling. During the spring and fall is when you will more than likely use this feature, knowing that we have colder mornings and warmer afternoons.
The system in your residence is a heat pump system, and it's very efficient. For this reason, we don't recommend setting your temperatures back or turning your system off in extreme temperatures. Our suggestion during these times is to pick your mode, either heating or cooling, select your temperature, and leave your system on. This will ensure your greatest comfort in extreme temperatures. If you're not accustomed to a heat pump system, you may find that the temperature setting that you set on your controllers is different than what you've been used to in your primary residence prior to moving here to Friendship. We suggest that you choose what we would call a comfort number on your controller rather than chasing a temperature that you may have set your system to in your home prior to moving here. In multi-bedroom units with 2 controllers, your system consists of 1 roof-mounted heat pump unit and 2 fan coil units in the space. Because both controllers in your space control 1 roof-mounted unit, your system may seem more predictable when both controllers are set to the same mode, either heating or cooling. This is not necessary or imperative, but if you like predictability with your system, we would suggest choosing the same mode for both of your controllers, either heating or cooling, based on the needs of your space on that day. Your controllers in your space can be set at different temperatures and different modes. However, the unit that's mounted on your roof can only operate in 1 mode at a time. It's important to understand that the first controller you turn on in your space is designated by your system as the primary controller. That means that this controller determines the operating mode of your roof-mounted unit. It's completely normal for you to have each of your controllers set in different modes, but it's also important to remember that the first unit you turned on gets first choice of the operating mode of your system. Once that controller is satisfied, the unit will then switch modes and the second controller can go to its mode that's required to satisfy your space temperature. When you're switching modes on your controller and not getting an immediate reaction from your system, this is completely normal. Sometimes your system needs to satisfy one space or the other before it can switch modes. When both of your controllers are set to the same mode, all of the conversations or concerns about primary controller, secondary controller, etc. are irrelevant. You do have control over which mode of operation your rooftop unit is operating in, either heating or cooling, when you synchronize or match heating or cooling on both of your controllers in your space. It's only when you have your controllers set differently, one on heating and one on cooling, or your unit set in auto mode, that the control features of the system determine your system's operating mode. When your controllers are set to auto mode, the system decides which mode of heating or cooling your roof-mounted unit will operate in. This is a little bit nuanced, and I would suggest reading our handout on how your system operates to completely understand this. The bottom line is this: if you want your system to be operating in heating mode, set both of your controllers to heating mode and you'll get that desired operation. If you want your unit set in cooling mode, same thing stands. Set both of your units to cooling and you'll get that operation. Now we're going to talk a little bit about some of the nuances of operating your controllers in different modes. When you set your controller to cooling mode, let's say 74 degrees, your system will turn on and cool your space to 74 degrees. It will then shut off. Once the space warms again to 76 degrees or 2 degrees warmer than your set point, your unit will then again energize in cooling mode and cool your space back to 74 degrees. When you set your controller to heating mode, let's say 76 degrees, your system will warm your space to 76 degrees and then shut off. Once your space cools again to 74 degrees, the unit will come back on and warm the space to 76 degrees. This is how heating mode operates. Setting your system to auto mode is a little more nuanced. This is because your system now has the capability to switch between heating and cooling. So for example, set at 74 degrees, the space cools to 74 and turns the cooling back on at 76. Here's the part that's interesting. Now let's say your space continues to cool because it's cool outside as it can be in St. Louis. Your unit will automatically switch to heating mode. But let's reference again that we were set on 74 degrees. You're in cooling mode. Your unit will switch to heating mode when your controller cools to 70 degrees. That's 4 degrees below your set point. That's important because that's the difference in temperature that your system looks for to switch modes. Once we switch to heating mode, however, we're controlling your space again to 74 degrees. Your space will warm to 74 degrees and then shut off. As the space cools to 72, heat will again turn on and warm you to 74. So the control of your space, the temperature, is a very tight control, the same in auto mode as it is in heating mode or cooling mode. The nuanced part of this complete operation sequence is the changeover point from heating to cooling, which your system can do automatically. This is a great feature if you want to be hands-off, but it does help to understand that your temperature will fluctuate more, especially in springtime and fall time, as we have cool mornings and warm afternoons. Again, much easier to operate, hands-off, no need to make any changes on your control, but you will experience more fluctuations of temperature. If you'd like to have your temperature locked down tighter, we strongly suggest putting your system either in cooling mode or heating mode and selecting the temperature you want. Hopefully this video gives you a general understanding of how the system in your residence operates. It's by no means a complete description of how to operate your system. We have provided written directions to Friendship Village to provide a complete operational guide. Your happiness was very important to us. If you have any other questions, please reach out to your Friendship Village team. They can reach through to us, or they'll probably have the answers for you. Thank you again for watching today.